Alright. What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. So this video is going to be about Tesla, as I promised. I'm going to talk about the stock, where I think it's going. I'll talk about options flows, obviously. I'll talk about some dark pools. We'll touch a little bit about the company and the balance sheet, but not too much to add from the last videos and everything I've been talking about. And yeah, the focus is just gonna be Tesla. I have a lot to talk about. So bear with me here. I'll try to make this video to the point as possible and not too long, obviously. But yeah, let's start. First of all, nothing I talk about here, nothing I say or anything comes from flow trading is any type of form of financial advice or tax advice. Everything I'm talking about here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always do your own due diligence. Make sure that you guys invest in trade for your own benefits, for your own portfolios and families. Obviously, investing, trading carry a lot of risks. Make sure you guys are aware of it, and that's where we're at. Now, where should we start? First of all, the chart. This is gonna be split adjusted. Okay, I'm looking at this as log. We can always kind of switch and play with it to find different trends and cycles, especially combining Fibonacci retracements or trend lines and everything. I'm gonna keep it on log for different reasons. I like it better, just at least on Tesla right now. So let's start with that. The chart. Tesla is obviously up a lot ever since 2019 and 2020. Now, the most important thing we always want to remember and understand is that Tesla is one of the biggest narrative-led stocks in the stock market, right? People have been saying for so many years that it's way overvalued. I've been saying that it's way overvalued. I've said it before, it's a bubble, if you guys know, as you guys remember, and I've changed my mind as I posted about on X, formerly known as Twitter. So this is my latest posts about Tesla, obviously, right? That's from the Flow Trading account, but my account is This Is Orlando on X, formerly Twitter. Again, This Is Orlando. If you guys don't follow me there, you guys can check it out. But yeah, here back on September 10th, basically posted why I'm officially a bull. Basically explained a lot why I'm holding everything personally that I bought at 160 and why I will be looking to buy dips, and now I am bullish long term. A lot of different reasons, obviously, also macro related, economy, where we at in the rate cycle, but especially the growth and as I've said, where I think the market is at as a whole. In addition to a lot of moves that I like Elon that he's doing with Tesla as a company, the fact that Tesla looks like it did survive the last, I guess, 2022 growth bubble crash. And the main thing is the flows. All right, we shall talk about in a second. So yeah, I turned bull on September 10th. Let's switch to the daily here quick. Just now, like recently, right? So September 10th was here. So we've been climbing pretty nicely ever since. Okay, I'm making this video again on Sunday, September 22nd. All right, now I've said that I'm a bull, and then I posted some options chains with a lot of activity that we'll talk about in a second. And another roll that just happened, basically rolling options chains. Again, we're rolling call options through from November. We had some December. You guys can see here that's open interest difference, but we'll get to it later in the video. Don't worry, I'll explain everything that you're looking at here, and we can better understand how it can affect the stock and what it means for supply and demand on the Tesla. All right, so that's that. Just a bit of my latest posts. As I promised, I said Tesla could be a multi-bagger in upcoming months. I have so much to talk about, so I didn't want it to just make a long thread or post. So I said let's just make a video, and here we are. All right, this was on September 16th, and even ever since I posted it, it basically 3 days after had a pretty big day, up 7%, and then another kind of an inside day. Well, it's Friday. Friday is always I forgot it was also quad witching and and OPEX, monthly OPEX options expiration. So I usually ignore Fridays in the market overall. You guys know it. But let's go back to the chart a little bit, okay? As I've said, narrative and price will always kind of play cat and mouse, right? Like they'll catch to each other. What we had ever since 2019. Everyone said that Tesla is the next, well, everyone was bearish. Some people said that Tesla is the next big thing. Anyone who betted on it made a right bet, obviously. If we just look like this, what happened on 2019, and that's very important to understand a little bit of the macro. That's why I talk about this. So from 2019 lows to the all-time highs, we're talking about what, like a bit over 2 years of 3,400%. I mean, that's stupidly stupid, right? That's a lot. Over 3,000, sorry, percent on the stock. And what happened here was basically the narrative followed price, right? Price rose and rose and rose, and ever since post-COVID as well, with all the stimulus checks and everyone had a lot of cash suddenly, so a lot of people, retail especially, just bought a lot of Tesla and a lot of Tesla, and everything led to kind of a gamma squid and a short squid and huge ballistic move on Tesla. So again, that's when the narrative started to say, well, the earnings are improving, the company is strong, there's the future, they're going to take the AI, I'm saying, not yet, now it's AI, the EV market, the whole market share from EV sector, and EV is the future, and that's it. That's what everyone basically said, right? Which later on, by the way, confirmed to also be a bit of a bubble, the EV as a sector, as we've seen with a lot of other stocks that fell down a lot in the EV sector, right? We can even show quick. We got the Rivian, right? Which I made some decent trades about, talked about. People in the Discord killed it as well. But again, Rivian has been going down a lot ever since. Even though it's not looking horrible right now, but still, the company could now go bankrupt comparing to where it was when IPO'd. Everyone screamed about it on CNBC, heck of a company. Lucid, again, a lot of all those EVs that just dropped by a lot. Okay, so that's what happened to the overall sector. Obviously, Tesla is a beast. I mean, Tesla right now has better numbers than it had in the 2021 top. Better numbers, and the stock is cheaper. So anyone who liked it here and chased it here should absolutely love it here. That's just first. Okay, so that's just a bit of sentiment and price and what I believe is going to happen, which, by the way, same thing happens end of 2022, which I traded this, yeah, as a short. Again, you guys know I like the squeezes. We go both ways. Lower highs every time, and then again we had a massive roll of a bearish spread, anyways, that opened, that we call on options flows, but that's in 2022. I talked about it in another video. You guys can check it out, why I was bearish here. The point now is that I feel like where we at right now is actually a point where people are talking about rate cuts, right? We just had a 50 basis points cut from the Fed, and everyone said, well, it's good for growth. It's good for also small and mid caps. Not that Tesla is a small and mid cap, but it's trading like one, right? It's very volatile. It still has a lot of speculation about what's going to happen with the company in the future. So I believe Tesla makes sense if you just think about it, that the narrative will be starting to get more and more positive. So what will drive the narrative faster if not price going higher, right? And then you can get price going higher, narrative follows. That's that. In terms of the chart itself, pretty clear. That's the weekly. You got this kind of a bear channel, you can call it. Got supply every time, resistance, call it whatever you want. Again, it's semantics. But we had kind of a it tried to break out, right, back in July 2024, which also I talked about it, similar options flows that we caught before the big move. We see similar thing here, which I'll talk about in a second, obviously, as well. But it was kind of a false breakout, right? You see the strong rejection here, and then it fell down. Now it's trying again. Every time, ever since all-time highs, we just got rejected on this. So once we break out of this, that's a strong downtrend that you flip. So technically speaking, obviously it's just gonna look much better than if you just take a fib retracement on the log from all-time highs to the lows of 2023. You can see that the golden pocket, well, golden ratio, the 0.618 of this downtrend is actually 242.4 area, right? 242, let's call it 243. You just got rejected there on Friday. So that's a technical rejection. It's not bad. If you break out this red channel, you also break out the golden pocket of macro downtrend. So obviously that's also something to watch. What we had here, also pretty clear quick on the same red channel after the 3 touches in 2021 and 2022. We had the same thing back in 2023, right? we had basically lower highs from the same channel, and once we broke below golden ratio and it created lower lows as well, it saw a sell-off. Look at the chart right now. You see that we're obviously in higher lows right now. So next step, what do you want to see? Higher highs, right? And then also, as I've said, it breaks structure. You break downtrend, you break golden pockets. So that could be a ballistic move to the upside. And why do I think? First of all, we got the Robotaxi event on October 10th. Okay, that's a big event for Tesla, and that's obviously mainly because people are expecting a lot of announcements to be made from Elon and team, possibly some revenue projections. I mean, I feel like the FSD story should be pretty interesting here. If they talk about the self-driving, full self-driving story and what's new with that. I mean, it's always interesting, but I feel like now it's kind of a key point. You know, as I've said, we just got a 50 basis point rate cut. Tesla is looking good. Even the stock, obviously, the company said they don't care about the stock, they care about the company, but they care. And with where the market is at right now, looking like everything is booming and AI is booming and growth is booming. So this is going to be an important event, following by earnings on October 16th. So October is a event heavy type of month for Tesla, right? So short term speaking, you could get kind of by the like sell the news type of events on Robotaxi or post whatever. I don't really care because I don't trade those specific events. For me, it's I let gamblers kind of bet on this. I look post earnings after IV contracts, and that's when I kind of want to look when no one else is looking, and they think, okay, that's it. Like we won't get a volatile move, just like post earnings, post big events. That's what I like to watch it. So that's a little bit about the chart. Kind of obvious, right? We talked about the downtrend. We could break the golden pocket. That's just the levels that you just saw. You can obviously look at those levels. We break golden ratio 250, 245 to 50. You could get to 300. That's what I think could easily happen. And one more reason that I say it, which is the main reason and the most important, obviously, thing in my opinion, is the flows. All right, now this inverse head and shoulders, everyone in flow trading Discord, you guys know what I'm talking about. We've seen a huge accumulation in bullish rolls and bullish flows here. Boom, the stock pumped big time, right? Back in June 2024 of this year. Basically from the lows here, call it inverse head and shoulders. So from the bottom of this shoulder to the top, we're talking about like a 60% move in less than a month. It's a heck of a move. And then we draw where we were here somewhere, the inverse head and shoulders inside a inverse head and shoulders, right? So one here, another one here. And not only because it looks like it and it actually climbed nicely since, but because of the flows. So now let's look at the option flow and talk about what we see here, okay? Sorry that the video is a bit longer than I wanted already, but it is what it is. So, okay. There's a lot of things to talk about here. I'm just filtered above $10 million. There's also smaller premiums traded. This is unusual wells, by the way, guys. There are also some smaller premiums traded here, but I'm not going to touch it right now. There's a lot that we want to watch and keep following to gather sentiment. But the big things, the most important things, I would say, are the options roles. It's a cross trader. Many will say that maybe it's not too relevant to look at. I disagree. It is relevant if you know how to look at and if you know which type of trades you want to look at. So this is from September 6th. Okay, I'm gonna show it quick. Is this the one that we posted about on X here? All right, yeah, so I asked what stand out to you in December OPEX. And obviously it's this, open interest change. The script I have here from Thinkorswim, right? By, it was TD, Ameritrade, but now it's Charles Schwab. That's the platform I use to trade and to chart. Well, not to chart too much, but to read options chains. So that's open interest change. You obviously can see that the call side saw two large openers. Always more to it. You want to see, is it ask side, bid side, spread, single leg? There's always more to it. but that's obviously was the unusual things if you're looking at, right? Plus 40,000 open interest on only, I mean, look, and open interest was 41,000 when I posted it. So on nothing OI jumped from 1,000 to 40,000. Obviously that's unusual. And this was a roll. So now we'll talk about these ones. I posted this, look at this, 31,000 volume on this contract. And I will explain also what it means. All right, so that's the November ones, the ones from September 19th. All right, that's the newest ones. We've actually had a few rolls that had different things. Here you had short calls, boom. The call contract dropped. Why? Because they did it on, look at the date here, September 5th. That's when they actually shorted a lot of calls. What happened a day after? September 5th. Let me look at the daily. That's September 5th, shorted a ton of call. Look at this, if you guys remember. Tesla dropped 8% on Friday on September 6th, a day later. And then what happened on September 6th is this. They actually rolled calls to long calls. So this was the bid side calls that they actually shorted a lot of calls. Or was it the closing position? This one, they closed the position. So possibly, yeah, you see a sell to close from this one to tens. Guys, if I'm speaking Chinese to some of you guys, I'll try to be potentially to simplify it, but again, that's people in flow trading can understand better, obviously, because that's what we do. We follow flows all the time. We simplify it. They have all the education there to learn in the Discord, but bear with me. If you need to watch it a few times, do it. And now I will try to simplify the November rolls. Okay, so as I've said, they shorted calls here, bearish, stock dropped big time a day after. The long calls here, bullish. In the following days and week or two, stock rose nicely. So that's what we had September 19th. Okay, now that's a bit tricky because it was on September 19th. It's not tricky what it means, by the way. It's just tricky to predict super short-term price action, and I'll show you why. What they did here, you can now look on open interest. They closed this position, the 225 for November. How can we tell? Because open interest dropped by 26,596 after a day after the volume entered. So obviously that's a closing position of the 225 for November. The second leg was the 240 for the same expiration, November, plus 29,978. So we can tell that's obviously an open-end position. Now it's okay if the volume is a bit higher. It's okay, it makes sense. We have volume all the time on a stock like Tesla, but it's pretty easy to understand that this is the same trade. Obviously, you just look at historical volume and you could tell. So now we have from 5,700, 35,000 open interests. And what is open interest, guys? The amount of contracts being held right now by market participants, whether long or short. Overall open positions. And it's updated every day, like an hour and a half or so, 2 hours, a bit before market open. It updates every day. So now they open the 240s for November, and that's after I talked about in X and in Discord, obviously, about the December calls that are open. So now it gets interesting, right? What happened here? They closed 225, right? Both of them are above ask, by the way. So don't immediately jump and say, well, this is a buy and this is a buy because they're both at the ask. No, it doesn't have to be this way. That's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta understand flows. You can't just look at ask and say it's a buy bullish. Sometimes buyers of calls are actually bearish and buyers of puts are actually bullish to hedge underlying stock positions. Again, it's a bit of subjects, but just trying to throw some as much as I can here so people will understand that flow is a beautiful and magical thing, but you gotta know what you're doing and you gotta know how to read it, and most people don't. So back to the November rolls. What they did, they basically closed, let's call it closed so not confused. They closed the 225, open 240s. Basically it means that they actually closed a higher delta. They closed an in the money position, and they still bought an in the money, the 240s, but slightly in the money. More delta, more potential downside pressure if the stock wanted to stay above 240. So what it means, they sold a lot of the 225. It could lead to a bit of downside pressure. But this position overall, to me, what it tells me is that we have a big player that's building a long position in November OPEX 240. So if you don't feel comfortable to trade with flows or even charting and trade with the combination of technical analysis and options flows, which is exactly what we do in flow trading all the time, and we teach, then you can just look at the 240 level and say, okay, if this position, which is still open, obviously, as long as it's open, 240 is kind of the level that you want to look at. And it's going to claim, in my opinion, 240. Once it does, Tesla could easily go much higher because this is when market makers into November OPEX, right, will buy shares to hedge this position. You could say that this is an options dealer, a market maker. You could say whatever you want. I care less about speculations. It's fun to, kind of talk about what it could be, who it could be. But for me, I care about what it's going to do to the stock and how I can manage risk and make money out of it. So that's what we got right now. Okay. Another reason why I'm bullish Tesla, I feel like above 240 we have a lot of positive delta pressure. So a lot of buyers on the underlying stock, and then you know what happens when retail is starting to post charts on X and starting to suddenly the sentiment is rate cuts and Tesla is bullish and robotaxi and AI and energy storage and that's the future and Elon Musk and boom, and Tesla is going higher and it's going to squeeze short, and eventually in my opinion it's going to also hurt a lot of bulls eventually, right? But that's what happens with those type of stocks on both ways. And I'm talking about more less long-term investors, talking about people who look at the months and kind of ways to do it, right? So that's that. In terms of one more thing about the sentiment, by the way, right now Tesla is number 12 in the largest companies in the world, right? So I feel like Tesla, another thing, like if it's gonna hit the 1 trillion market cap again, then I just feel like sentiment-wise, everyone's gonna talk about it. Well, it's back to the top 10 largest company in the world, Tesla, and then number 9 maybe 8, and that's even if Berkshire and TSM and all those companies right here, AVGO, LLY, great companies. Also, that's looking good. So even if they keep rising, if Tesla is relative strength is basically stock going higher more than others, then it's going to claim more levels. And then it gets to the top 10 and then maybe even top 9 and top 8. And then you're talking about, okay, well, Tesla is back to being one of the biggest companies. And that's also something to watch in terms of market cap. Okay. Pay attention to the sentiment here. That's also important and it drives a lot of the price and story. So yeah, that's what we got here. I'll add quick also with another thing with flows that we have a lot of dark pools activity. Okay, that's usually when you see it after a closing red day, especially if it's on kind of at the same time when you have big options rolls, then you could assume that they're kind of, think about it like this, they're going to buy low and sell high, right? So if they did it after downside, it could be buys. Again, speculation only. But you can also use this as a support resistance level, 238.5.2. Use this as a big level to watch. And I have some ways that I have specific blocks that I feel pretty confident that I know that these were buyers actually. Timing, feels, combination with other flows. So I know that these were buys. So again, this was another reason why I went pretty bullish. I bought it 160, as you guys know. Like that's when I went really long. And I've said it when it was 250. Remember, I've said back here in 2023, it's going to 160. People call me crazy. It went to even lower, like it went to 140. But I bought it 160. I said this is my price that I'm going to buy it, and I did. So this is why I'm still bullish. This is why back here we actually started to feel like short-term price action is gonna look better, and it has been looking much better. Okay, and that's also the combining, as I've said, of options flows and the dark pools that I felt like I knew these were buyers. And I feel like maybe we can last thing, not too much to talk about this, guys. I've talked about it a few times, but to me, by the way, the energy storage, where is it here? Energy generation and storage, they actually call it on their quarterly forums. That's a super interesting thing that I would like to kind of see growing, because I think it's the underrated part beside robotics and AI and all of that, the energy storage part. But I still, I mean, guys, 35,000, 34,990. And that's the 6 month ending June 30th, not only the quarter. This report obviously published on June 30th, so it's the last one. So what we're looking at right now, it's revenue. And you're looking at the revenue from selling autos, right? Automotive sales. And then you're looking at the overall revenue of the company. And that's just too much of their revenue comes from selling autos. So that's, as I've said a million times, if you truly want Tesla to be not only a potential tech and more company, you gotta show it in the balance sheet. Obviously, investing and trading means catching up before the narrative pops, as we talked about in the beginning of this video, right? So yeah, if eventually it happens 2025, 2026, 2027, in the next few years, if they can generate much more revenue from different aspects and um, take more market share from a lot of different sectors, as we said, robotics and AI and a lot of other areas, and solar, then Tesla is going much, much higher eventually in a few years. And then everyone's going to say, well, you see, we told you it's more than an auto company. Again, I don't care about the told yous. I'm not trying to be right, only trying to be on the right side of the trade. And as I've said, to me right now, the bull side is absolutely looking much better. All right. So that's that about everything. We talked about options flows. We talked about dark pools, right? We kind of talked about the upcoming event. We talked about the events with the robotaxi and earnings. We talked about the chart, obviously. Did I miss anything? Let me think for a few more. I think we kind of touched everything. If didn't, I'll feel free to ask me in the comments below, guys. Okay, and it may be like a good thing gonna be for anyone who's looking at it short term. Weekly, I don't trade, guys, on a day by day. That's not how I personally do it. Overall, you guys know it. Again, I trade Tesla. Now I'm long and I'm bullish long term, and yeah, I'm here for the ride with Tesla. But I've been trading Tesla. I shorted it back here in 2022. I played the September and October 2021 squeeze. That's where Jim Chanos actually blocked me, unfortunately. Even though I was pretty respectful, to be fair, I just shared my opinions. But then when it did squeeze, it blocked me. Not, again, super smart. I respect everyone's longs, shorts, but it is what it is. It was a heck of a trade though, beautiful. Then obviously the short as well, the long here. Here I actually got squeezed, I believe. I wanted to short it, which I did. Then I got squeezed, closed quick. I had a loss, took a loss here, but then it did fall down eventually. I just kind of, timing wasn't great. Happens, that's trading. That's obviously was a heck of a trade for us as well. Many people killed it in the flow trading Discord in the inverse and shoulders of a few months ago. And again, I bought it to 160, and now again, obviously. All right, so could be a great trade, short term, long term, whatever you guys want. I'm not gonna tell anyone what to do. But if you're looking at some levels, as I've said, you got the all-time highs fib retracement on log to the lows of 2023, and then you can look at kind of the 243 area, then 244. If you take a few cents, right, like above those the golden pocket levels, and then you got 300s at the 0.786, which I think is very likely into end of year, possibly, allegedly. And that's what I'm watching. As I've said, support is kind of 205, but even the red channel here, so I guess 220s maybe. Still, this is how I like it. You guys know the big trends, the macro trends, and yeah, just gotta be prepared for anything. For example, here I actually did it. I went pretty long here, and I still held it at a loss. And then I just added, I think somewhere here, where we kind of cleared new highs after when I entered to kind of confirm potential what I thought that's coming, and then it did come, right, in May and June 2023. It was also a heck of a trade. So yes, that's it. Make sure that you guys are managing risk. Make sure that you guys are having fun out there in the markets. Don't take anything as certainty, because there are no certainties in the markets. Never. Anyone who talks in certainties, just avoid them as quick as possible. And this is just a straight out simple in April lows to July highs. failed retracement, just uptrend. You guys can see go 0.5 to golden ratio is usually a pretty cool area to see continuation or a trend change. And this was the August Fugazi, the carry trade. So what happened here? It ate it pretty quick, and then it kept on climbing, and that's also kind of compressed here in the golden pocket. I don't want to use too many indicators and other stuff because it's a lot of noise. You guys can do it if you want. To me, I just like to look at the chart and the sentiment. It flows obviously to add the whole picture. Okay, so that's next. 231 area is kind of the point 236 of uptrend. When you hold this, that's it. Like you're going into new highs, and you kind of starting to look at different fib retracement cycles to chart out of 4 levels. So that's where we at. Very, very interesting spot here. This is gonna be super fun and entertaining to watch from here to see what happens in this red channel and what happens in a few weeks, months from now. As I've said, follow the flows. If you guys want to learn more about flows, and even if you guys are working throughout the day, because most of our people in flow trading in the Discord, in the community, I'll post the website below if you guys want. But people in our community, most of them don't touch options, just to be clear. Maybe not most, but a lot don't really trade options. There are investors long term, but they use the flow analysis that we do every day and every week on streams, recorded streams, a lot of channels, flow alerts, and they use it to better read markets, better read their stocks, and better read cycles and sector rotations. So we teach everything, obviously. We have a lot of education, but it's also great for people who just kind of want to stay, to see what big money is actually doing, because that's what moves money at the end of the day. Everything is speculations. We can talk about what CNBC is saying and what big accounts are saying and opinions, and even what CEOs of companies are doing, buying stock, selling stock. It's all a fugazi. What moves markets is money. So follow the money, follow the flow, learn how to read options flows, dark pools. You don't have to do it with us if you don't want, that's cool. But make sure that you do it from someone who knows what they're talking about. Make sure that you always backtesting your own thesis and backtesting what you've learned and see that it actually works, and simplify it. You want to learn flows, it doesn't mean that you need to watch every day. No, understand which one to follow and which one to not follow. That's why, as I've said, it's actually what we do. We filter every day for all of our members so they can just look at the channels and say, okay, so that's new about this, that's new about this, that's what happens now. And we also give full analysis on the flows, if we think it's tradable, if we think it's more for sentiment on markets. So yeah, that's it. We're probably going to close access again in the next week or two. So just to be sure, the website, I'll link it in the comment, as I've said. If you guys want to join us, feel free. Again, only if you're serious. We want people with good energy. We have a good enough community already, established environment and energy there that we're not going to let anything ruin it right now. So yeah, only join if you're interested in everything I've talked about and kind of grow with us. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Tesla, that's the video. It's already pretty long, so I hope that you guys enjoyed it. As I've said, feel free to ask me questions, whether on X, once again, this is Orlando. And if you want to read my thoughts overall, as I've said, when I switch to bull, it's only a little bit of my thoughts, but you guys can obviously read it here. And yep, I think we have yeah, I feel like there are a few things that maybe I wanted to talk about, but you know how it is. I'll talk it in the next video. I'll talk it on X. Obviously, I'll talk about it in the Discord every day, as we all talk about it, chart about it, flow about it. And that's it, good people. Appreciate you guys for listening, for watching. As always, much love. And I'll see you all on the next video on X and on Discord. Peace out. This is the way.